All right, welcome to Cruise Control. My name's Eric, and today we're going to talk about my top 10 vehicles that I like for this year. Before we get to that, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe as I do cover new cars, used cars, and I also do live streams. Now let's get to that top 10. All right, so I put together this top 10, and some of you may agree with this top 10, others may not. They're not going to be the world's most expensive cars. Spoiler alert, there's no Lamborghinis or Ferraris on this list. I can't afford those. The most expensive car on this list is probably about $140,000, which is very expensive, but it still stood out to me that much that I put it on this list. And you guys at home are probably guessing which that is. So, or maybe about two of them 140, but still, I didn't put like $400,000 cars or $1 million cars on here. I didn't do any hyper cars. So relatively affordable. As my channel gets more successful, maybe some of these are the cars that I might buy. Who knows? So without any further ado, let's talk about the first one that's on the list. As I rank these, they're not like, oh, number one is my favorite one that's out there. No, we're just going to go down the list, right? So 1 through 10, and these are just the ones that fit into my top 10. The first one that I have on here is the Ford F-150, specifically the Power Boost with the 7.2 kilowatt hour generator. And the reason why this is on here is last winter, see, I'm in Colorado. Last winter was pretty harsh in places like Texas. That's where my dad is. And people down there actually used this F-150 to power their home so they didn't lose power. That is awesome technology. That is really cool that it's in the F-150, and it makes me very excited for the future for the Lightning. I mean, the all EV version of this, I'm very excited for. So for right now, what is available today is the F-150 Power Boost, so that's why it's there. Vehicles, FYI, that are not out yet, like let's say the Lightning, they're not on this list because they're not sold today. You can buy them and eventually get them next year, but not today. So that's why we're getting these vehicles that are on here. Cool. Number two. This is like a twin. They're both the same, right? So this is probably going to be one of the cars that I'm considering for myself and my channel. Let me know in your comments down below. This is a very highly sought after vehicle. It's very affordable. It looks very fun, looks very sporty, relatively fuel efficient, actually has better acceleration numbers than I was expecting. And a lot of you probably already know what it is. It is none other than the twins from Subaru and Toyota, the GR86 and the BRZ. Come on, look at this thing, especially in Neptune Blue in the GR86. I just love this car. This car is so cool to me. All right, so on to number three. This is one of the ones that's expensive, and I would love to own if I had the money. As I make more money, it would be so cool. I look forward to testing this vehicle next year. I am going to rent it on Turo, and it's pretty pricey. It's a little over $600 to rent. But you know what? I want to be able to rent it, and I want to be able to put it on the channel for you guys. You guys all voted for this car to be on the channel next year first. So hopefully I can get that up by next summer. Is probably when I'm going to get this vehicle. This is going to be the Tesla Model S Plaid, the one that does 0 to 60 in 1.99. Now, I don't think I'm going to get that 1.99 just because it is on, a prepped surface and things like that, not street surface, but even in the low twos, let's say I get 2 point something. Man, that's going to be so cool. I rented a Tesla Model 3 Performance, and it did 0 to 60 with my buddy and my wife in the car with a half of a charge in 3.4 seconds. So I'm very excited to see what this one can do in the real world. And I live at elevation, so it's going to be fun to see how fast it is here. And I know, these types of cars, they don't fluctuate based on elevation, which is going to be the most exciting part. It's probably going to be the fastest car that's sold here in Colorado. All right. The next one's also about another $140,000, and if I had the money, oh man, and it starts under 100, right? So you can get the base model of these for, I want to say around $80,000. I don't know, I haven't looked in a while, but I want to say 80-ish thousand, but they top at about 140. It's any of the 718 Caymans with that 4-liter flat 6 with the naturally aspirated. So you can get in the GTS, which I want to say is 80-ish thousand ballpark range, the GT4, and then the GT4 RS, which that one's about 140,000. Of course, if I had all the money in the world, I'd just get the RS. But honestly, if I can afford an $80,000 GTS with that flat 4, that would also be just awesome. My favorite car I've ever driven was the 981 Cayman around Speed Vegas, and it had the flat six. It was the smaller flat six, only 340 horsepower, 0 to 60 in like 4 point something seconds. But that thing was just a knifed edge, man. That thing could just cut corners. It was just the best vehicle I ever had. I love hearing that engine behind me, just so good. So that's why that's on this list. And then of course, number 5 is no surprise to anyone because everyone always says the answer is always Miata, right? And so specifically the ND2 Miata with the RF. I love the retractable hardtop. I'm here in Colorado, so soft tops you can't rock in the winter because it gets too cold and it lets in too much cold. But the RF, and it keeps you nice and warm and you don't have to worry about the hail and all that kind of fun stuff. So I really like the RF Miata. I think it looks great. I love the retractable hardtop. It's a driver's car. It's really fuel efficient. It's relatively quick. I mean, it's just a great car. The next one, man, it was hard for me to put this on the list. And what made me finally put it on there is manual transmissions are a dying breed. But fantastic shifting manual transmissions are dying even faster. Some people will be like, just be grateful it has a manual transmission, even if it's not that good. Well, Honda makes one of the best manual transmissions in the business, and this version is better than the previous one. So I had to put this on here, even though I don't necessarily agree with the price of this vehicle and its value proposition anymore. They kind of raised the price. But because it's still sold and before we have to go to internal combustion engines and they're finally still giving us something to be excited to drive every day, it's not just your humdrum CVT transmission. It's a 6-speed manual in the brand new 2022 Honda Civic Si. Look, here's the reasons why it made my list. It looks the business, man. It's the best looking SI that's ever been made, in my opinion. And I own a 2009 SI Coupe in orange pearl, and I love the look of my car, but this is better. The interior is better. It looks more sophisticated. It looks a little bit more grown up. It's not too flashy and put into your face the way the 10th gen was. And then the power. Okay, yeah, it's an issue, but remember, I just showed you guys a dyno video. If you haven't seen that dyno video, check it out, man. It actually makes more power than Honda's letting on. And I believe the reason for that is there's an upcoming Integra, so they can't have the Integra and the Honda Civic Si making the same power. I actually think it makes more power than last year, but they're saying it makes less. So that's why it made it on here. It's fuel efficient, it's fun to drive, it's relatively affordable. It's not as affordable as it used to be, but inflation is what it is. Everything costs more, so here we go. The next one on this list, I would buy this. This would be on my shopping list for me. This is more of like my wife's car now because it's not offered in a manual. But if it was offered in a really good shifting manual transmission, this would be probably my next car. I love the look on the outside. I love the look on the inside. I like that it's a hatchback. It's relatively fuel efficient. It's relatively affordable. It kind of hits all those metrics. It's all-wheel drive. It's turbo. It's all these wonderful things, but it has a 6-speed auto, which fine, at least it's not a CVT, but I've driven this car and it's not what you would call exhilarating or whatever. It's a great car. Top to bottom, it's a great vehicle. And then I don't also like the rear suspension being a torsion beam. They cheaped out. They went luxury. So you guys should all know by now I'm talking about the Mazda 3 2.5 turbo, specifically in the hatchback. But, you know, it'd be a great car for my wife. It would be fun, so much fun if it was in a manual. So it's almost there. Or maybe a DCT. If this had a DCT, I might be like, well, whatever. I can hit the gears and at least feel like it shifts. Versus right now, that 6-speed auto, you hit the shift button, it's like, I'll shift or downshift. And it's like, maybe I'll do it. And it's old. And yes, it's reliable and all that kind of fun stuff. But it's not an engaging transmission to drive. It's a great vehicle. I love it, which is why it made it on this list. This next one here is controversial because it isn't made by the company that's selling it. But you know what? Earlier in this list, I told you I liked one of their products as well that isn't made by them either. This is a vehicle that doesn't come with a manual transmission as well, which is a huge bummer. Like, I can't afford this car right now, but if I could, it's the only detractor that there's no manual transmission. And look, I know we're headed for that future, and I know that's where we're going. We're going pure EV. We're going really fast straight line acceleration, but there's something lost in translation when I can't shift it myself. But the vehicle looks cool, even with the fake vents, even with when you roll down the windows and it buffets your ears and you can't hear out of it. The fact that it's still sold today, I love that it's here. And it's none other than the Toyota Supra, specifically the 3-liter. That's the one that I would get. Probably the base model 3-liter for around 50 grand. Seems like a really good bargain for what you get out of it. The next one up surprised me. I can't believe that this company made something so fun and so exciting and so thrilling. Not very affordable. It's around $80,000, but it was just so out of the blue that right before we're going to go EV, that this is what they came up with. And it's just a pure driver's car. You can fit your whole family in it. It comes with a manual transmission. It has a big V8 that is supercharged with lots of horsepower. It's made by an American company. It's none other than the Cadillac CT5 Blackwing. That's right, the Blackwing, man. Like, this is just cool. Now, it doesn't have the Blackwing engine that they made a couple years ago, but whatever. The CT5 is just a cool piece of machinery, man. Rear-wheel drive, sports sedan, manual transmission, just really cool. So thank you, Cadillac, for making it. And the last one on here, you guys are going to laugh, probably, but I think it's one of the prettiest cars on sale today at any price level. It's been out for years. It's not new. So I want to say it's on its 5th year or something like that. I forgot how many years it's been around, but it's been around for a while. But I still think it's one of the most beautiful coupes that's made. It's a very interesting design. Some might say futuristic, or I'm not sure, contemporary, but it has this look that is none other, and I don't care about the outside, the inside, they're all good looking to me. Preferably, I'd probably get like a forest green on the outside, and on the inside, like they make this really cool, almost looks like you're inside of a tree, right? It looks like a tree bark color. It's like a nice brown. It's really pretty. It's very luxurious. It's got a nice revving V8 that's naturally aspirated. Unfortunately, it does not have a manual transmission, but it's a luxury coupe, so I forgive it for not having a manual on this. And it just looks awesome. And it's the Lexus LC500. That is my last car that I have on my list, and I absolutely adore it. I think it's a beautiful piece of machinery. So those are my top 10, again, in no particular order. If I had to say which one was at my top, then somebody else would get mad and be like, no, this one should be at the top. And you guys may not like my list anyways. Leave your comments down below. Tell me your top 10 and relatively affordable. If you want to put your super expensive cars on that list, that's cool. But I am going to be talking about future cars, ones that are upcoming for next year. That video is going to come out next week. Make sure you're looking out for that. So please like and subscribe so you don't miss out on that kind of fun content. My name's Eric. This is Cruise Control. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.